every family has a history they're eager to learn.
It was like eye-opening in that sense, and from there it just kind of grew.
For Kevin John Goff, it was the legacy of his genealogy that brought him to Denver.
I moved here 2.5 years ago with my wife. One of the main reasons was to research the family history here in Colorado.
Part of his heritage.
I'm an actor, I'm an author, upcoming author, great-grandnephew of Hattie McDaniel.
Is being the executive director of the estate named after his famous great-grand-aunt.
Her sister Etta, who was also an actress, is my great-grandmother. So Etta is one of Hattie's siblings. So that's how I'm related to Hattie. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Recently, Goff spoke to visitors to the History Colorado Center, talking about actor Hattie McDaniel and how she got her start after attending Denver's East High School.
I don't know if you've heard of the George Morrison Orchestra. He's very well known in Denver. Hattie performed with that orchestra, and they went on the road across the U.S. in different places.
In 1940, Hattie was the first black actor to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Gone with the Wind.
This is one of the happiest moments of my life. And I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards.
She went on to appear in hundreds of later films. Even though she was a star on the big screen, she still experienced racism along the way.
She loved people, and performing showed her a way to make people smile. You know, she had compassion. Even when she was going through a lot of difficulties like, oh, you can't be buried at this cemetery, or there's a lawsuit against you because you're a black person, you own this home, we're going to get you out of there with a restrictive covenant. And it gives you a real great insight into her life.
Goff wants others to learn the history of his great-grand-aunt named Hattie, a part of his family history he's always excited to share.
When people talk about Hattie McDaniel, they go, she played Mammy in Gone with the Wind, the end. You know, or she played Maid Rose, the end. My hope is that they'll hear this talk and say, oh, she wasn't one-dimensional. There were many facets and layers to her.
In Denver,
I think we all have stories in our families that we could share, and there would be things in there that we would be blown away by. Thank you.
Byron Reed, 9 News.
I forgot to say.
We're now joined by Kevin John Goff, Executive Director of the Hattie McDaniel Estate.
Thank you so much for being here. I mean, her legacy definitely has touched so many people. I was looking at some of her footage earlier of her accepting her Oscar and just the class that, how eloquent she was, but also I wasn't aware of all of the philanthropy. So was it a lot for you to unpack this legacy?
Yeah, you know, when I was a little kid, my parents had separated. I was like 8 years old. So all of us went to Texas, me and my siblings, my mom. My dad went back to California because we were in DC. But I would sneak up around midnight and watch this classic movie show, and not knowing my relatives were in a lot of these movies. And then fast forward like 10 years later, I go back to California, hang out with my dad, reconnect with him. Then he starts really filling me in on the family. I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this movie, I've seen this. So, you know, it was really eye-opening, and it took off from there, and I saw why what I do today is what he was doing, and I kind of picked up the baton, and now I understand why it was important to him.
And when you put this into perspective for people, she won an Academy Award long before the Civil Rights Movement, before there was this push for rights, for equality. How do you think she did that? She made her way.
Yeah, and Gone with the Wind was in between the Great Depression and World War II.
Right.
She's a woman, she's a black woman, but she grew up with hardships. The family was poor. Her father was you know, living his entire life with Civil War injuries. He was a soldier in that war. So she saw his fortitude. Her mom, who had 13 kids, she saw how strong she was. So she's seen these things, and she saw a lot of tragedy, and that built her up. And I think that's what made her resilient.
Resilient indeed. What type of lessons, what can people take from her life, her legacy?
The biggest thing that impresses me about her, I mean, an Oscar is great, but the biggest thing is despite the times, the discrimination, the obstacles, she never lost her compassion for other people, regardless of where they came from. She always kept her integrity. She mentored people. She helped with war relief.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I want people to take from it. I mean, they see her and they go, oh, Gone with the Wind, Mammy. No, she was not one-dimensional. No woman is one-dimensional, as you two know. So,
part.
yeah.
Incredible. And kudos to you for keeping this legacy
Yes.
alive, because there's so many, especially of African Americans, that we don't know a lot about our ancestors
Right.
and where they come from. And it is a challenge and a fight to learn about who we are because of those who came before us. And look at you doing the work and keeping that legacy alive. That is incredible.
Yeah. I saw my father doing that. I mean, he was an architect by trade, but he had that family entertainment history side. So when I picked up where he left off, it was easy for me to make that journey.
Good job. And thank you for spending some time with us this
Thank you for
afternoon.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.